man of mystery. You know the history, get it or forget it, cause poof, I'm out of here. I read the rules before I broke them.
Welcome to another episode of Steady Mobbin podcast. Episode
444. 544 rather.
540. I mean, who's
544 rather.
track?
It's 544 for sure.
I'm not keeping track, obviously. But what I am keeping track of is the goats that come to the best podcast in Canadian hip hop.
Jeez.
We got a special guest. He's been in the game for 30 years. He's got about 18 albums, and he's still active, damn it. Make some noise for the GOAT Classified. Woo! First question, and it's a serious one.
It's big energy on a Sunday morning.
Let's go.
Is Diddy guilty?
Oof.
Oh my God. He's already.
I gotta ask. I gotta know. People want to know.
So
Personally, I think so.
Whoa! There you have it.
Yeah.
Just because stories you hear from so many artists, but not that. The fact that he paid it off in one day was just like, oof.
Wow,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Just like that. He didn't try to fight back. He's just like, no, we don't want this out there. And maybe there's more to his story, but from outside looking in,
I agree.
anybody that does that obviously is guilty of something. Why would you just give it up so easy?
You hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not saying I'm right. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, so it's great to have you here. Just let us know briefly, like, why you in town, man?
Yeah, but hold on. What the hell's you doing?
What?
There's a whole cast here.
Oh. Well, what's I supposed to do? Introduce you guys? I mean, the catcher would say your names, wouldn't it?
Nah, son, you gotta introduce yourself.
Okay. Go ahead, introduce yourselves.
Doing the glory voice.
Oh.
We need it in the glory voice.
To the left of me, we have Black Mob and we have Charmaine.
Excuse me, Juno Award-winning
Oh yes,
artist.
that's true.
Charmaine.
You are slipping.
Sound effect.
Come on now.
Clean it up.
Jesus. He's fanboying. He's fanboying right now. I didn't want to stand near you earlier. I'm like, I just can't. I gotta go away. But yeah, he's fanboying right now.
Yeah, I'm a little off put because you're here, because I've followed your career for 30 years. Not to say that I'm that old, because I'm really not, but I was really young when I got introduced to your music.
Yeah, I was young when I started.
Yeah.
I mean, we're around the same age. It's 30 years sounds long, but come on.
Why are you in town?
I'm in town doing a friend of mine, an artist I've been working with, Brett Matthews. He's doing a showcase tonight, so I'm coming through. I flew up to support him for that. Then we ended up lining up some press stuff.
Yeah.
Wanted to do this, wanted to get this out of the way. I know we've been talking about doing it for a while.
Yeah.
And a couple other things, just kind of like some business stuff.
All right.
The other side of the business, it's not kind of the fun part of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Brett Matthews.
Yes, sir.
All right. Maybe my co-hosts want to ask some questions since I'm hogging the airtime.
No, I wanted to ask. I just want to get to the nitty gritty right off the bat.
Sure.
The East Coast, I've noticed rappers in Toronto. They put music out. They get a little buzz, internet buzz, and that's it. They're not touring. There's no merch. There's no deals. They're not going on. They don't have awards. No accolades. It's just internet, YouTube buzz. What's holding them back from going to the next level like you did?
Maybe just being satisfied with the recognition they're getting in their own city. Like, I know a lot of people in Nova Scotia that were like that. When I was coming up, there was better artists than I was, better rappers, better MCs, but they'd be the man in Halifax. The big shows, they were the man, and they were cool with that. But I was like, no, I want this to be bigger than just Nova Scotia. So I started doing my tours across Canada, jumping on a Greyhound bus, going to play for 15, 20 people in Winnipeg, Calgary, wherever.
Damn.
And then come back next year and it's 70 people. Come back next year, it's 300 people. Come back now, it's 1,000 people. So I just wanted more than just the Halifax thing. And I think it was because I wasn't the best in the city. I was like, well, I got to get bigger than this. I want more people to hear the music. That's the main thing. It's just the motivation that when I go to a studio, I love being in the studio. I like making music. But when people are actually checking for it and listening for it, that's really motivating.
Absolutely.
What keeps you motivated, man? Because you've been in the game for 30 years. You're still active, and you put out music like you're a new artist. Like, there is no signs of you slowing down. Like, what keeps you going?
I don't know, because I feel like I've tried to retire like 3, 4, 5 years ago, a couple albums ago. Not retire, because I hate using that word, but I just felt like, man, I'm in my
You've
40s
done it all,
now.
yeah.
What else am I going to write about? I did the tours, won the MMVA, some Junos, all that stuff. And I think it's like no different than a 70-year-old that's retired. You know what I mean? My money's straight. I've invested very smart. Like, I have no financial, I don't do this for financial at all. It's strictly because I still like to put out music. But, you know, when my wife's father retired a couple years ago, he was in the Army. And after being home for 6 months, he went and got a job at the local hardware store just to stay busy, keep his mind moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it for me for music. You know, when I'm sitting home and the kids are at school, wife's doing something, I'm like, well, what
am I going to do?
What am I doing? Okay, I'm
Yeah.
going to go to the studio, roll up a joint, make a beat. Okay,
Yeah.
now I got a beat I'm feeling. Okay, I want to write something to it. And that's kind of what sparked it, this whole new album. It was just one song. I started working on something, and then all of a sudden I get excited. And I'm like, all right, shit, I want to make another beat. Okay, I want to write this other thing. Oh, I got this other idea. And it just goes like that. And I'll finish this album, which I just did, and I'm ready to cancel my Pro Tools subscription and just say, okay, I think I'm done again. You know what I mean? But once this album's done being pushed, I know I'll be sitting home again and going, let me go to the studio. It's still fun. Like, when I was 15, this shit was a hobby. I wasn't making money. This wasn't my life. And I never thought I would ever make a living off rap music.
Wow.
When I started, like, this is before Eminem, so before white rappers weren't the joke, you know what I mean? Before Drake, so no Canadian rappers were doing this shit. So I never really thought, like, oh, this will turn into a real job or, you know, be successful with it. It was just, oh, I'm 15, I can do this thing now. I rapped at my school dance, kind of gave me my identity in school, kind of felt like it excited me. So it's kind of back to that lifestyle of, you know, when I'm free, I'm just going to go make some beats.
We were speaking earlier about a lot of artists from Canada have to work 9-to-5s, part-time jobs, and do the music thing. At what point in your career did you realize, I can do this full-time? I can make a living from this.
I didn't know till it happened. So I went to college for like a year or two and learned like basic computer stuff. Ended up getting a job being like working on a help desk. Like, people call, hey, my computer's not working, and, you know, just reboot it, call me back. So, you know, I wasn't good at the job, but I got by. And it was like, you know, I was making good money. I was making like $40,000 a year, 21, 22 back in 2002. So that was like a legit job. You know what I mean? And then they came to me and said, hey, we got to lay some people off. We're going to have to lay you off. And I was kind of like, oh, shit. But then I was like, oh, I got unemployment. Canada's got unemployment, so you can live off, you know, your money for 10 months or whatever. So my plan was like, all right, I got 10 months. Let me go hard at this music thing. You know, my last day of work, my boss came. He's like, hey, we found you another job. You can stay. And I already had my mind. I was like, oh, I got unemployment. I'm doing this right. I was like, no, I'm gonna go for it. I don't want the new job. My parents were pissed. Everyone was like, what are you doing? Like, you're leaving a real job. And I was like, yeah, but I got to go for this. And I haven't gone back to work since that.
Wow.
Big.
Taking that chance, but definitely worth it, you know?
Wow.
So what's the formula though? I'm seeing a trend of the East Coast and the West Coast rappers doing bigger than Toronto rappers. When I say bigger, I mean going on tours.
Well, I think it's just because we're not in Toronto too. Like, you know what I mean? You're Halifax, Nova Scotia. There's only so much you can do. It's like, you know, the entertainment industry, everything is in Toronto. It's always been in Toronto. So I think if you're from the West Coast or the East Coast, you always feel like you kind of want to work your way towards here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I have a lot of friends in Toronto that are successful but not really successful. So it's like this can't be the end goal just to be here. But I think that was kind of like the lead thing that got me focusing on the rest of the country was like, well, I got to do a show in Toronto. That's where everything goes down. I got to do my press. And then it just went from there to, well, we got to go to Calgary. We got to go to BC. And then after you do it a few times, you just realize like, okay, you know, I can do what I do in Toronto, in Winnipeg. I can do it in Saskatchewan. I can do it in Calgary, Edmonton, Fort McMurray, Vancouver, Victoria. You know, so why not spread this as far as you can?
Yeah.
And at the same time, it might sound cheesy, but to get that money, like to be like, okay, I can go make 10 grand if I go do this show there. I can go make this there, do that every year or two, do your festivals and stuff. And that's, show money is by far. I can make more money in one show than I can make in the whole year of streaming.
Totally. That's what I'm saying. That's why I keep harping on that, because touring is way better than
any
streaming.
artist that asks me, like, what advice you got? I'm like, do shows.
Do shows.
100%.
100%.
Learn how to do a show in front of anybody and focus on that, because you'll make way more. I never would have been able to retire if I didn't do shows. If I was just living off album sales, streams, and sync and stuff like that, no way I'd be able to do what I do.
Yeah, for sure. It's all about the touring.
Yeah.
We got 2 Juno winners here, and I remember speaking to Adam Baum, and he got a Juno too.
Yeah.
And is there any value that comes with winning a Juno? Like, does it up the stock? Does it up your brand? Is it like?
Did you walk into a
the
store like, I'm a
equivalent
Juno
to
Award
an
winner?
American
I want to
artist?
deal on those sneakers.
Yeah.
For me, I do notice, like, it doesn't really change anything on, like, my hardcore fan base, my hardcore tours, but it does add something to corporate gigs. You know what I mean? Oh, we want something to do this thing for so-and-so. Oh, he just won the Juno. Okay. Maybe we'll give you an extra G or two. You know what I mean? Like, little things like that. As an artist, it's cool. It's not like every artist. You don't make an album going, I got to win the Juno. This is going to change my life. But when you get it, it's like, shit, that felt cool.
It's cool.
You know what I mean? Somebody's recognizing what I'm doing, but it's not a make or break, I don't think.
Yeah.
How was it winning the Juno for you? Did it?
I mean, it was really. I was honored to win it, and I was glad that people are recognizing like what I'm doing. But honestly, like,
It doesn't really change anything.
it didn't really change anything for me. I think the part I loved about it the most was seeing how proud my parents were, because I remember I told you I gave them the Juno. I'm like, you guys take it.
Yeah.
It's for you guys, So like, just seeing them being that proud of me from coming from homelessness to that was like. That was like the best feeling. But other than that, it didn't
But that's
change
what I mean.
anything.
I almost think other people look at it as a bigger thing.
Yeah.
So in turn, it does seem worth it. Like, your parents are proud of you. You get press. Press wants to talk to you. So there, you're talking about my album now. People might know about my album that didn't know about it. Stuff like that, I think, definitely makes a difference.
Yeah.
So being an OG, right? I'm pretty sure that like you have an executive mindset. If there was any key ingredients that if you had the power to change or add to the Canadian hip hop landscape, what are those things you would say would be necessary in order to improve it, to help other artists kind of, for lack of a better term, get on?
I'd probably go back to the live show aspect of it. Like, I think with streaming now, like, this artists in Canada are streaming tens of millions. You know what I mean? Like, competing with anybody else in the world. It's not the same as what it was 10, 15 years ago when, like, a successful Canadian hip-hop album would have to sell 10,000 copies. If you do that shit in the States, you'd be like, what? Failed, gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like we're hanging that way. I still think that live shows, promoters that are still taking that chance to bring artists to their town, their cities. Like, the amount of cities and towns I've went to that have never had a hip-hop show is crazy. And, this was probably 10, 15 years ago now, but, like, small towns like in Vermeer, BC, like, just towns that I've never even heard of before.
Yeah, like, there's
But
a
I
world
go,
outside of Toronto, guys.
whole world, and you go there and you're rocking for 1,000 people that have never seen a hip hop show before. Like that shit gives me goosebumps. Like, that's like, okay, we're reaching,
And I think that's what you're trying to get at. Like, why are the East Coast artists collecting all these W's, but the guys here?
Yeah, it's also...
Because what we're trying to prove. We're still trying to prove that we can hang with what's going on here, I think. Like, for me, that's what it was. It was like, I got to get out of Nova Scotia, show Toronto that I can do this thing right across Canada. And, I guess it was, just a kind of a proven thing.
We did prove.
I mean, you definitely did that.
But it also might just be the mentality in Toronto as well.
You know what?
Because, because the same way you guys are hungry to
Mm-hmm.
come to Toronto, I feel like artists in Toronto should be hungry to go elsewhere as well.
That's a great point.
But I could see the mind frame of why they're not.
Yeah.
If I lived in Toronto and had all this going on here and someone was like, yo, let's go play for 50 people in Winnipeg,
Yeah.
True.
hard to see that bonus unless you really are looking long term to be like, you're probably not going to get much out of that one show. But if you go back to Winnipeg 4 times,
Yeah.
you might see the bonus. And that's why I don't tour the States or overseas a lot, is I realized I never put that work in coming up. And if I wanted to go over there now, like, I got to go do it 3, 4, 5 times. And with kids and shit, I'm like,
No thanks.
I don't think I got the energy to invest that much time in doing that and missing my kids grow up and all this shit. So
Yeah.
I kind of keep it in Canada where I put in all that work and know that I can kind of survive in this world.
You've done a few features with some popular artists, Royce the 5'9", Joe
Couple
Buttons.
Royce, yeah.
Who else am I missing?
Snoop,
DJ
Premier.
DJ
Oh, fuck
Premier.
yeah.
Who else? Raekwon.
Whoa, no,
Come on.
sorry.
He did that
There you go.
Sorry, dude.
No, I've been lucky, man. I got to work with like a lot of my heroes.
on purpose. How the
who
hell
I
did
came
you
up.
make those connections?
Snoop,
Premier? Oh my
Premier,
God.
Marco Polo, producer from Toronto down there.
Shout out to Marco Polo.
I'm a Gangstar fan. Like Primo was my favorite producer for years. So I reached out. We had a couple connections, and then Primo actually gave me a phone call, and he was like, "Yo, I was talking to Marco. We said you're legit. Let's do this." And yeah, it was cool, man. But yeah, just connection with Joe Budden. Me and Joe and Royce toured Canada once.
Oh, for real?
And in Europe, we did
I remember
Europe
that.
one time. Yeah, so me and Joe hung out almost every day. Like this was right after the Joe Royce D12 beef, and we were all on tour together.
yeah.
So like it was weird.
Okay,
We'd be on the tour bus,
yeah.
and we'd be having these big meetings, and everyone. It's weird. I'm just the Canadian dude sitting in the corner.
You're right in the middle.
But Budden would always come hang with me and my crew just because I don't know. Just I guess it was different, and it didn't feel like there was any weirdness or whatever.
Yeah.
So me
Yeah.
and Joe got really close.
What do you think about the success of Joe Budden in the podcast space? And is that something that you would be open to doing, like starting your own podcast?
Maybe not, but again, I do music because it's like it's not like me trying to be like I want to get my name out there. Or I'm trying to make a successful career or something. I do it because it's just what I do on my free time.
Yeah.
I think what Joe did is crazy. Like I remember he was doing Joe Budden TV on the tour. Like this was before blog TV and all that shit. But he was the guy with the video camera, and he would upload it, and it was still brand new to the internet world. But yeah, he's taken that to a whole other level.
Yeah. And it makes sense that
And,
someone in his position would do that because he has so much knowledge and so much information. He's
a smart guy.
Yeah, and he's
Very
a
smart guy.
Smart guy.
Very smart.
And he's entertaining too.
Yeah, he is, and he's an asshole. People like to watch assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of assholes, I'd like to put you on the spot. Give me your Mount Rushmore of Canadian,
assholes?
Of Canadian.
I was like, I haven't had that question before.
I thought that's what you were going with it.
Your
too.
Mount Rushmore of Canadian hip hop
Assholes,
artists.
Canadian hip hop. Obviously Maestro, just because it's the start of it all to me. Obviously Drake. Come on, he'd be on the top 5 of America anywhere. I would put Chocolare because I think just to come up when he came up and the way he came up, it was a massive thing for Canadian hip hop. Tory Lanez
Okay.
It's on 4.
and me.
Okay.
Is that 5 or 4? Would you say 4 or 5?
Mount Rushmore is 4 people.
Yeah, about 5. Top 5.
I'm throwing
is
5 up there.
good. Okay. On the American side, top
I'm
5.
I'm surprised you put up Chocolare.
Chocolare? No, Shocks is. I put Shocks up there for a couple of reasons. One, when I first came up and started paying attention to Canadian hip hop in like 21 years of my life, like Shocks had some jams that were like, yo, Shocks dope. And then I met him in real life. In 99, I got to open up for him on tour, and he would come backstage, hang out with the openers, shoot the shit with us. Like I open for a lot of people, and you just don't get that love from
Really
the
nice
stars.
guy.
He is
Super nice guy.
Super cool dude.
And over the years, he's doing his thing, whatever. But I think just for the last, for that 10-year run he had, to me, he was at the top of the line and brought Canadian hip hop to another spot. Also, Cardi, Chaos, Swollen Members, Mad Shot. Like, there's a lot of artists that really did this shit on a real level of like what we were saying of like, no, they're living off this. They can go play anywhere in Canada and pack a room, and I think a lot of people see certain artists and they think that they can do this all across the country, but there really is only a handful of people I know that have done that over the years.
Absolutely.
And then you got the younger guys coming up like Presta, Killy, like those guys are killing
they're
it
doing
too.
it.
So there is, a whole new generation there coming up that's bubbling right to that point.
Yeah.
Another guy on my radar is Maloney, MLNY.
Yeah.
He's coming up. He's doing his thing. He's so hungry for it, and it's just like it's so inspiring watching him.
Yeah,
do
when
his
you
thing.
see somebody that's actually working and
Yeah.
they want that. Yeah, and you got to work for it. Like some people just come out and they got the skills and they sound good and they don't even got to try or work for it, and they get to that point. But I feel like it's those ones that really want it, are the ones that take it to that point. You got to get to.
I guess my question to you would be like, back when you started, was there like anybody in particular that you saw that inspired you to do it, or like anybody that you saw like, oh, I think I could I think I could do this for real too.
I never thought I could do it for real. I just liked it. Like,
Yeah.
I was always the worst rapper in the group. Like, you know what I mean? I was in the group with
Yeah.
3 other guys, and I was always the young guy trying to keep up and like, fuck, why can't I sound right? But that was my motivation to keep working.
Okay.
That's why I kept going. But coming up, like the people motivated with me was just,
Oh, pardon me for a sec. Continue your conversation.
yeah.
What are you doing?
90s hip hop.
Okay.
90s hip hop, Death Row,
Yeah.
Gangsta. Like there wasn't one artist that I was like, oh, that artist just inspired me. But like,
Yeah.
you know, a big Death Row fan, Snoop, Dogg Pound, all that. And then just, you know, eventually got into the East Coast stuff more. I think I got more into the West Coast at first. But like Public Enemy, Tribe Called Quest, you know. I kind of went back and did my homework too, because a lot of those groups came out before I was really paying attention.
Yeah.
And went back and was like, oh shit, I didn't know all this was here, and
Okay.
kind of did my history that way.
Oh, that's really dope. Because like I was wondering if it was all like Canadian artists and American
No,
artists.
no.
Because I grew up in the States, so
Yeah,
like
yeah.
everything that I saw growing up was all American.
No, when I came up, we didn't even know the difference. Like Maestro Fresh West was playing at our school dance. I didn't know, oh, that's the Canadian rapper. Like it was just like, oh, that's a dope track. Oh, he's Canadian?
He played at
Oh,
your
that's
school?
cool.
Yeah. No, he didn't play, but like with school dances, when
Oh,
they played the
okay.
song. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so to me, when I first came up, no one separated Canadian hip hop and American hip hop.
Okay.
That happened, or at least I started paying attention more when I started getting into music and doing it. And that's when I was like, oh, okay, Chocolate, Maestro, Rascals, you know, Cardinal, all these other groups, Socrates. Socrates should probably be on that list too.
Yeah.
There's a lot, man. It's hard
Speaking
to
of
put it on 4 or
Socrates,
5.
we had him here. We had him here like 6 months ago. And you know, we did our Nardwar shit, and you know, he literally said he never won a Juno.
Sox never won a Juno?
So, yeah, does that sound,
What was
does that
his
sound
album?
crazy to you?
It does, but it doesn't. I don't think Drake's won a Juno, has he?
I think Drake has won a Juno.
I know he was nominated. I don't think he has.
I think Drake has,
Or maybe he did before he hosted. I know he hosted that one year. He's nominated 6 times and never won any. And I think that was like it. They were just like, yeah, we're done with the Junos kind of thing. Sox would get nominated for the Underground tapes. That would have been his big album.
Yeah, so he's been nominated numerous times.
But just never won it.
Just never won.
Yeah. Sox amazing. Amazing producer, rapper, singer, violin player. He does it all.
Top 5, dead or alive. American, Canadian,
Whatever.
Angola.
I put Jay-Z, definitely.
Okay.
It's going to be pretty cliche. Nas. I'm going to put Redman just because I love Redman growing up. At one point, Pharoah Monch was on there for me, but hasn't been consistent enough over the years, I don't think.
Yeah.
Drake.
Drake again. Wow.
Yeah, you can't deny what he's done. Especially being a Canadian kid coming up in Canada being a joke to the rest of the world for hip-hop, and Drake coming out and running this shit now, and people begging to get Drake on records. It's like they want that Canadian shit now. That's all Drake. All these artists that are coming out around here is because Drake did what he did.
People are saying like Drake is on the Michael Jackson level kind of thing.
Yeah, I seen he beat like his record for the most
Yeah, in
singles or
terms of
something.
accolades, for sure.
That too, but also like he's
But he can spit. Like those accolades to me are more probably his pop records, his singing records. But when he needs to go in on a record, like he can rap.
Okay, so I remember I made a post a few months ago.
Oh,
that's what you read.
brother.
And let's see here. Let's and it's nothing too crazy. Everybody's like, oh my god.
No. I
don't
was
give a
wondering
fuck.
like
I
why
know
the hell
what
did you
you're
run
talking
off the camera like in the middle of the podcast with Classified here? Like what the hell's going on?
Okay, stop being a drama queen. Okay, so I think it's time the conversation about Classified and his contribution to the culture and where he ranks on the GOAT list of Canadian rap. It's going to be tricky, though. There's a disconnect between his music and the culture,
100%.
right? And you responded. Hold on.
I responded?
Yeah, you did. Right there.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, read away.
And he responds, ha! I love
That's how you heard me say it? It was more of like a, huh.
I love finding random posts like this. Appreciate the love and the hate, but if we're talking numbers between gold and
I do
platinum
remember
plaques,
this. I remember this.
sold out tours, shows, number of years I've been successful doing this as well. I make all my beats and write everything and got some of the most innovative song concept over the years. there is only a handful of people in Canada on my level. And I'm not
I went in
cocky
that
or
day.
conceited.
I'm usually not like that,
That's
but
what
yeah, I
you
went in.
should,
I
though.
felt like it.
As you should.
And okay, where did I leave off? Okay, I'm not being conceited about it. It's just common sense. I get what? Not everyone is into my music, but can't ignore the last 20 years and where my music reached and took me.
Still feel 100% the same way.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's a disconnect when it comes to you and appreciating your career and
In the typical hip hop culture?
Yeah.
Because I don't think I make typical hip hop.
Yeah, because your shit's not like bang bang kill 'em moving pies.
It's not op music.
Yeah, but I think even when I say typical, coming from small town Nova Scotia and learning at a young age, don't rap about what you're listening to and what you look up to. Rap about what you do. Because when I first came out, I was rapping bang bang on, like just because I listened to Snoop, I listened to all this shit. I thought that's what you were supposed to do. I went to the studio for the first time, making my first cassette. And my producer, Joe Run, was like, he stopped recording it. He's like, yo, do you really do this shit? I'm like, no, but it sounds good, man. Like, this is what, he's like, man, rap about what you do. From that point on, I was like, okay, I'm going to represent what I do. I'm a kid that grew up playing hockey, grew up middle class, 2 parents that, try to raise me with values, blah, blah, blah. 13, found out about hip-hop. My dad was always in a band, so music was always around in the house. Sure. But when I started listening to hip-hop, I was just like, what is this? And it just caught me off, fell in love with it. And then it was just like, okay, if I'm going to do this, they're representing where they're from, Long Beach, Brooklyn, wherever it is, what they go through, their lifestyle. That's what I have to do.
Yeah.
So is that going to relate to the most common hip-hop fan? Probably not. Is it going to relate to a whole other world that was like, oh, I want to hear something else that I can relate to, or I love hip-hop, but I want to get something else out of it? Okay, we'll check mine. Maybe you'll get something else out of it. So I get why people might be like, no, he doesn't represent hip-hop, blah, blah. But I'm good.
And I feel like there's an elephant in the room.
I'm definitely comfortable with it.
With the racial component of it too, right? Because
some
hip-hop,
point, but do you think that's even a thing anymore? Like originally, 100%.
Originally, absolutely. Not so much now, but when
because like someone like Adam Bomb, such a dope MC, white guy. Gets that props from the hip hop community, though. I think he does. He does. And people don't. Nobody really has something negative to say about Adam. Adam's just a dope MC.
Yeah, I know. I just kind of find the dichotomy kind of weird. I feel like, okay, when you talk about Canadian goats, I'm just like, and I've been in like multiple discussions with various people. It's like your name never really comes up, and I'm just like, why not? Like when you look at your career is like top tier. 30 years tours. 18 albums, hits, like you're living off of this shit, right? You're the quintessential freaking prototype of what people want to achieve when they're doing this music thing. They want to live off of this shit. And it's just like, why are people not mentioning your name? And
soon.
I mean.
But like, I know what you mean. Like at points, and maybe that's why I wrote that post that day, you see something, you're like, motherfuckers, do they not know?
Yeah.
Like you kind of step back and go like, people just don't know. Like,
they just don't know.
Which is fine, because my kids know.
Yeah.
I feel like the people that matter know.
That's a big flex.
That's my kids know. I take them trips. I've taken them around the world off of hip hop.
Yeah. That's my
love. Kids don't have a worry in the world for the next 50 years.
Amazing.
Because of hip hop music.
Yeah.
So if Joe Blow that follows hip hop doesn't like my shit, I don't lose any sleep.
No, because you took the money and you bought 2 McDonald's and that's right. But no, I got a question for you. I should know this, but were you signed to a major label in the beginning?
When I first came up, all independent, sent out my demos to everybody, got my rejection letters. So my album Hitchhiking Music, which sold like 20,000 copies in Canada.
Yes, I remember.
That was the last independent. I sell more records than people signed on Sony, Universal, and this was independent out of my back. Just me doing my shit, touring. So once I was selling like my last 2 albums, Boycotting the Industry and Hitchhiking Music, did like almost 25,000 between the 2 of them. Sony just came and said, well, what do you want to do? I said, I want to sit home in Enfield, make my albums. You guys market it. Let me do what I want. And they were like, cool. And I was like, I'm sampling. I'm doing everything the way I did. And they're like, cool. They gave me a check. Wow. I said, cool. Brought them the album. Said, here's my album. Here's what I want, my first single, second single. You know, Oh Canada, which was a single. They didn't want that to be a single, and I was like, no, it's got to be a single. And that became my first.
And it worked
platinum
perfect. And it
single.
worked perfect too.
Olympics and all that.
Yeah,
shit.
it worked perfect.
I got lucky,
Yeah.
man. Like I've had a lot of things with luck on my side, and again, I think that comes back to trying to be a good person. Like,
Yeah.
What was
Good
inspiring?
karma, man.
What was the inspiration behind that track though?
Oh Canada,
Yeah.
traveling over in Europe, going to Australia, and seeing people's perception of Canada. Like, you guys rap over there? Like, again, this is before Drake, right? So you go to these other places. I'm like, man, people don't know about Canada. Like, so I just wanted to write something. I wrote a song earlier in my career called The Maritimes, which was kind of the same thing when I started traveling out of Halifax and seeing people's perception in Toronto and BC of what the Maritimes was like.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I got to let people know what it's like here. Like, that's hip-hop to me is represent where you're from and letting people know what it's like. So I wrote The Maritimes. And when I traveled outside of Canada and seen people's perception, it was the same shit. I was like, man, I got to do something for Canada. And it really got inspired by the beat. I was just sitting in the studio one time. I had the Oh Canada sample, which was like the live version from SARS, the big Toronto SARS concert happened years ago. And I just put it over a beat, a break beat. And I was like, oh shit, it just sounded good. And then just kind of started building on it.
And the Olympics took it.
Right. And then the Olympics, yeah, it was just a mistake. It came out in December or January. The Olympics were here in February or something. And all of a sudden, it was like, and that was not a plan. Like, it wasn't like, oh, the Olympics are coming.
That was
Let's do it.
God's
Yeah.
plan.
That was straight up. That was just good karma.
That's crazy, man.
Did you get any pushback for the video? Because I remember hearing some pushback.
Oh, yeah. I wrote a song about it.
Yeah?
People said I'm racist because there's no black people in the video. Oh, yeah.
How do you feel?
We counted.
Anything I go
There's
through
two.
all that shit.
There's
There is
two.
some.
And the director was black too.
Cash was the director.
Come
yeah.
on now, big shout out to Cash. We love you.
But again, like, that's not something in my control. And I'm not the guy that's like, oh, I'm shooting a video. I should call my black friends and anyone I know that's black because I want them in the video so people think I'm like, that shit is corny as fuck to me.
Hell yeah.
Like, how bad would it be if, like, yeah, I did have a bunch of black people and I called them all and said, I really need you in the front of the camera so I look legit.
Yeah, I know.
It's
Wow.
corny as fuck. So what did we do for that video? Coldest day ever. We just put an article in the newspaper, said, hey, you want to come out and represent? Be at this location. A bunch of people came out. We shot the video.
You shot it back home?
Yeah, Nova Scotia. And then, yeah, some people had comments, but people always got something to say about something.
That's true. That's true.
Honestly, it's the same thing with the record label. It's funny how you got blowback for not having enough black people, and I used to always get pushback as to why I wanted black people in my stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
They'd push back? So
yeah. Like they would
that's
always
weird.
ask me, how come you want all black people in your video? I'm like, do you really have to ask me that question?
Was it a white label guy?
He definitely wasn't black. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish we would just get over that shit.
Yeah,
be
just
we're
let people do whatever they wanna
we're
do.
people, it's,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Now,
Small-minded.
the whole world's polarized right and left. And people are like rap has surpassed right or left paradigm. Have you started seeing what are your thoughts of like the new rappers who are on the right side of the spectrum, like almost like quasi nationalists?
What do you mean?
So Tom McDonald.
Oh, yeah.
How
do I
does
think
he
about
make
it?
How does he make you feel? Like
Tom McDonald, the first time I heard his first song, I was interested. I was like, okay, shit, this guy's come with a different perspective. Then I did hear some songs, and I'm like, hey, he's really hanging on
some weird
some
ledge.
things that's that was like, I don't know if you're doing it for attention or you really believe it. So sometimes I see his stuff and I'm just like, man, it's too much, man. Like, why are you so focused on certain things which is whatever, man. He's an artist, and artists got to do what the fuck they do.
Yeah.
And it works. It works.
He's killing it.
He's
having
killing
the
it.
number one song. You know what I mean? Whatever he's doing, he's liking what he's doing. He's working. I'd love to see a live show. I don't think I've ever seen him do a show, so I'm kind of just curious how that's going to translate in live shows.
Be a bunch of red hats there.
Yeah, is that what it is? Is it like super mag?
I think
Donald Trump world?
I think he leans on the MAGA tip.
Yeah, so that's probably him realizing, ooh, okay, maybe, or maybe he really truly believes in everything he's saying, and he's just like, nope, this is what and I do think he makes some good points about certain things. What was one line he had? I can't remember what it was, but I remember my brother showed me, and I was like, fuck, that's clever. Like, that's actually very clever. He says some clever shit, but sometimes I think he does hang on some stuff that I feel is a little cringe.
Tom McDonald, we want you on the podcast.
Yeah.
Bring the wifey too.
Yeah, Nova, love Nova.
Yeah.
Nova for years. She's been on the come up. So, they're doing their thing. I can't hate. I've never hate on what they're doing. I don't agree with all of it, but they're killing it. They look like they're having fun doing it.
Yeah.
And people appreciate it.
Pat Stay.
The greatest.
Yeah. When you heard the news, where were you? What were you doing?
I was laying in bed.
You were laying in bed.
We all were.
Yeah, it was
Unfortunately.
Sunday morning. My man O-Sound texted me. She said, man, did Pat die? Just big question marks. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I went on social media, and I think I saw Mercury's post about it, which blew my mind because I'm like, well, he's on the West Coast. Like, we're here. Like, Pat lives 20 minutes from me. Like, how? And then I think I called IV, my DJ, and he knew everything. He was out that night and got everything, and it just kept coming in, the information, and it was just like, I just laid in bed for like 5 hours just trying to take it in, reading different people's messages, and just trying to make sense of it all. But
what was your relationship like with Pat?
Pat, we weren't like best friends or anything, but he's came to my house. He came to my 40th birthday party. He's, you know, maybe a month before that happened, me and him, he came out to my house, and we were just sitting there because he wanted to talk about like ideas for his career. What could he do? And I was like, I was trying to convince him to do like his own tour, like
Yeah.
but like a
that
tour
was
where
crazy.
he would go like theaters, not like a rap show tour, but like go into a theater, you come out, you pick out someone in the crowd, you battle, you do some of your favorite things,
That would have
answer
been
questions.
great.
Like it was really like a whole presentation,
Interactive.
and he
Yeah.
was loving it. I was like, perfect, man. Like this is
That would have been crazy.
so because he's such an entertaining person,
Yeah.
can talk. So he could sit on stage and just interact with the crowd for an hour and a half, and I think people would love that shit.
Man.
And then the last day I hung out with him, I was with Maestro actually, shooting a cooking show.
He lives on your ends. Well, not your
Yeah,
ends, but like in New Brunswick.
Maestro, yeah. He's a couple hours from me, but he was down in Halifax shooting his cooking show, which, you know, we went to this bar, a buddy of mine I know, and he's like, man, you know, Pat lives just around the corner here. So we called him. I was like, Pat, man, come over. He came over, hung out, ended up doing the cooking show with us.
Oh,
And I remember the last, we were all eating our shit. He finished everybody's bowls. Nobody finished their meal.
He's a big
Pat's
boy.
like,
He's a
"You-
big
you
boy."
finished that? Took everybody's meal.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Ate it, and then the show was supposed to end with like a little freestyle thing, and he's like, all right, I'm out. Left before the freestyle shit just because that's what Pat's like. He's like, yeah, I'm not doing the rap shit. And that was the last time I ever saw him. That was in July, so yeah, it was probably a month before he passed away.
You know, like you keep harping on the tour, tours and tours. Like people don't understand the concept of this. That literally what makes you and breaks you in this industry.
Yeah, for me, it definitely. I'd say Much Music, having that outlet when I was coming up was a big thing for me. Because back in those days, you had a video on Much Music, you kind of had, oh, they got something going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your name was getting out there. It was played across the country. So definitely that helped me kind of get out there, but doing the touring thing and going back every 2 years, hitting these towns, small towns, and doing like 40 dates
Hey, we
across the
should do it.
country. Should.
Yeah, our show should do it. Absolutely.
Face to face, man. I really feel like with so much internet, everybody on the net, once you get face to face someone, even if it's 20 people that sit there and watch you on stage, those 20 people are fans for a long time.
Hell
A
yeah.
lot longer than if you put out a video and you got 1,000 likes on the video.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 of those are real fans. Like it's just the real life thing is a lot more real.
Do you have any ties with Much Music anymore? Like, do they hit, like what's going on in Much
I
Music?
did because they get like a TikTok now. Isn't that the big thing?
Yeah.
Like it's not
Yeah.
Much Music, but like I know their TikTok
Music,
account
TikTok.
is the biggest account in Canada, which I just found out. So I did one thing on their TikTok a couple months ago, but that's about it.
My producer wanted me to ask you about Choose Your Own Adventure. You want what is that? What was the
So like my first album that I signed with Sony, I just did this whole thing. I was always trying to come up with like creative ways to make songs rather than here's the chorus, here's the verse, chorus, verse. So I did this 6-part series where the song starts. I wake up, start my day, and it's just me rapping about going through my day. And then I run into my brother, and he's like, hey, you want to go in town, check out Jay Busy, and check out the show tonight, or do you want to go bike riding? Okay, well, if you want to go bike riding, go to track 8. If you want to go to the city, go to track 10. Go to track 8, and then it starts with me and my boy biking, smoking some weed, blah, blah, blah. Then that ends, and it's like, do you want to go here? So it's like a
It's like
choose your
interactive,
path. Yeah,
yeah.
like
Choose your own
what
adventure.
was the
I like
books
that.
from back in the day?
Choose Your Own Adventure.
Well, there was another one that's like newer that the young people understand. Goosebumps? Was Goosebumps like that?
Yeah, Goosebumps had a Choose Your Own Adventure.
Same idea.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
had
so
a-
like I did a whole series like that. I honestly thought that shit was going to be the biggest thing I ever did in my career.
I mean,
Didn't do anything.
today it could be. Today, it could, I mean,
Maybe. I think I'd try to put it back on TikTok, but yeah, it's...
No, that's a really dope idea.
yeah,
Yeah. Like I just try to... And I think that comes to being the producer again. Like I'm in the studio. I don't necessarily just want to sit there and write bars. I want to try to think of different ways. Like I got a song called Beatin' It I did in 2006 where it's me rapping about making a beat, and I'm making the beat as I'm rapping. And like that for me is one of my, my hardcore fans. Like still any dish show, it's like, they're baiting it. They'll yell that out at shows. So, yeah.
Speaking about producing, is it I Wonder or Wonder?
Wonder.
Wonder. Amazing song.
Thank you.
What sparked that?
I wonder what Tupac would have been like as a grandfather.
Yeah, but what was the...
That was it.
Yeah?
Really?
Really?
I had that line wrote in my phone for a while, and I was like, why did I write that down? But it was just random thoughts is kind of what it started as, and I had that line. And then there was some other lines of like, why did we send our kids outside to punish them when we used to send them to the room? Like just little things that that was the last song I wrote for this album. Okay. So that whole song was a bunch of one-liners I had in my phone. Like I just always write down things when I'm doing shit. And I just went through my phone. I was like, what lines do I got left? Okay, I got these 10 lines. Boom. How am I going to connect them? I wonder. Okay. And that's how it was. And then, I made the beat, found the sample.
I watched that video.
And it slowly came together. And Brett was the first person I ever sent the song to because I was trying to get him to play guitar on it. He's like, what the fuck is this? And, I finished it in August. And then as soon as I had my second single after People, I was like, yo, Wonder's got to come out next. So, yeah. No, the vibe from that song, it's been getting good energy from it.
Amazing song.
What town shows you the most love?
Sorry?
What town shows you the most love?
Changes. I used to say London, Ontario.
Yeah.
Toronto was always a big one. Toronto, London. It changes though, man. Like it's pretty consistent now. St. John, New Brunswick's been. We go there. I feel like every 4 months now, and it shows sell out every time. Halifax, yeah. I don't think there's just one that's like boom stand. I used to say London, Ontario would be the one because that was like the first time I went on tour. It was like a packed venue, people losing their shit, girls on stage. Like it was just like, oh, this is what it feels like.
Yeah.
But now it feels like that's kind of.
Hold on, Classified got groupies?
I used to.
Woo! Make some noise for the groupies.
My younger days. Yeah, no, it's I'll go with London, but it's pretty consistent right across the country now.
Best food.
Best food? Chinese.
But like, I mean, best Chinese food? Where?
Ken's Chinese in Winnipeg.
In Winnipeg.
Ken's Chinese.
But you know what's crazy?
But I like greasy, just basic ass Chinese. Like
the crazy thing that you mentioned about Winnipeg is because there's a huge Chinese Canadian community out in Winnipeg. It's like a really old community.
Oh, I didn't know that, but
it's a really old community. It's like 100 years old.
Yeah, no, this place we go to, we always go there after shows like 3 a.m. and it's packed.
Oh, that's the best time to have
just
Chinese. People
are packed. It's always packed, and we're like, what's going on with Ken's? But yeah, no, Ken's, and then you got the East Coast Donairs. I could get into all that, but I talk about that shit too much.
What are the top 3 songs that, in terms of, I guess, reception that you've created, got like the biggest response?
Like my 3 biggest songs?
Your 3 biggest songs.
Beginner in Joe, Canada, and 3 Foot Tall. Or higher.
Higher?
Yeah, those are kind of the 3 or 4 songs I do at every show because those are the, if you look at my streaming numbers, those are the ones that are over 20 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there streaming paychecks like how? What's the breakdown? Is it like pennies on like how is that
what stream?
Yeah.
Oh, it's tough. It's tough. But
it's
what
like
it equals out to.
0.8.
Well, if you want to break it down, I think it's 150. Buying one MP3. If you bought an MP3 from somebody, it would be the same as streaming the song 150 times.
Wow.
And it's weird because everybody says it's bullshit, blah, 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 what you get paid for streams. And in general, it kind of is. But in the long term, so I have this song called Hey Now that I released in 1998. Sample Crowded House, hey now, hey now. I think I pressed up 200 copies of that album, maybe sold them for $10 each, to $2,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I haven't sold an album of that since 1998. That shit's streamed like 3 million times now on Spotify. So $5,000 to $1 million, that's $15,000 I made on that song on streaming.
$15,000
on a song that I made $2,000 when the shit came out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if you look long term,
That's
certain
true.
ways it kind of does balance out sometimes. But if now, like nowadays with music, it's just so come and go. Like, you know what I mean? It's just so, I'm on to the next shit.
What was the platform Mastermind was talking about when he said?
Sirius Radio.
What was the number he gave us?
He says they pay the artists $50 a stream.
A stream. Yeah. Serious.
Serious? Yeah.
I didn't know it was 50, but I knew it was high. I remember the first time my video got played on Much Music. First video I ever had. It was played 28 times, and I got a check for $550.
Amazing.
So that would equaled out to about $20 a play.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember that. But Sirius, I didn't know what the number was, but my my manager was actually telling me a couple weeks ago, like, if you get on Sirius, I thought he said 20, 30, 40 bucks, but
No, it's
somewhere around there.
50.
Yeah, Sirius pays good money.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
That's like beyond good money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a stream, yeah.
Damn.
I think the highest royalty checks I've ever gotten was simply because Sirius XM. Like,
Played.
I could see it on my statement. It'll say, like, Sirius XM.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, like, the entire check amount is right
It's
next to
basically,
it.
yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, you came out at the end of the non-internet era. No, well, not non-internet era. Sorry, you came out towards the end of the.
Well, I say around like
Napster?
Napster. That's the word
Yeah.
kept thinking Netflix, but yeah, Napster.
So, and then they started giving out 360 deals, but you were already independent at the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess you were asking me about the major shit, the deals that I did. So when I signed with Sony, it was signed directly to them for 2 albums, but they still let me do it through my Half-Life imprint, which I think was just because it looked good to my fans. It thought I was still underground. It was like, you know, I still want my label there. But then when I left them, I went to Universal right before, like, Inner Ninja, 3 Foot Tall. The deal I did with them, I own all my masters. Like I just said,
Amazing. It's
a P&D deal, basically. They put up the money, give me their team, take a percentage, but I own all my shit and good to go, which is, you know, a great position to be in. And then this new album with Wonder and People, this is the first album that I'm just completely independent, just separate from Universal. Just certain labels, if they're not even certain labels, but labels in general, if they're not putting the whole team and the whole energy, it's basically, you know, just upload the thing and it's on Spotify.
The reason why I
Yeah.
keep
It's not the
harping,
same as getting it in stores anymore.
the reason why I keep harkening on this is because I feel like you're so successful. I feel you have so much game to give the youth. Do you ever thought about writing a book?
I did.
You wrote a book?
I wrote a book. Should have brought the book.
You wrote a book on how to get it in?
But yeah, just my whole come up, going through this thing with labels, my deal with Atlantic. I signed a deal with Atlantic when Inner Ninja blew up here. And I didn't know this shit. So if a song blows up in Canada, like blows up, American labels are all watching that shit.
Right.
So when Inner Ninja blew up, I had Warner call me, Capitol. They're like, yo, we want to sign you. Capitol flew up from LA in a snowstorm, got to Montreal, had to turn around. They couldn't make it to Nova Scotia. So I was like, you got to come to Nova Scotia and meet me. And guys just didn't really think it was real. I was like, come on. Like I'm mid-30s at this point. You know what I mean? Getting older, a little bit skeptical what's going on. And then Mike Caron, who's, big rep for Atlantic Records, signed Ed Sheeran, Rihanna, did a bunch of stuff. He ended up doing like a Skype call with me, and they signed me for my album. And then that came out, and this is all in the book too. I told them, though, like, I'll do the deal, but I'm not touring in the States in a van with my boys. Like, I did that shit 10 years ago. If you want to sign me, cool, blow it up. I'll do some big radio stuff. So we did like big shows with weird shows. Like we did one with Courtney Love, whole just weird. Yeah, it makes no sense. But like in stadiums, the radio shows, I guess. So you got to do 10, 15 shows. And then they flew us to Tyler, Texas to do a radio show there. And we rolled up in this town. And it was like the most backwoods town. We walked in and it looked like the July 1st picnic. Some girls on stage and a couple grandmothers sitting there. So I'm like, fuck. I'm like, IV set up. Let's just do this shit and go the hell home. You know what I mean? So as we're on stage, I'm looking at IV, like just next song, rolling my eyes. And the PD saw that, took off Inner Ninja the next day. And this was like a big station in the southern states that if this if it fails on this station, it kind of wrecks the chance of the song.
Yeah.
So right from there, it all went kind of downhill. And that was just me having a shitty attitude because I was like, what if we
You're in Tyler, Texas.
We flew to Tyler, Texas. They don't serve liquor there. Everybody trying to give you Coke. You couldn't get weed or liquor. Wine and cocaine was just like, no, take this. And I'm like, no, like I smoke weed and I have my drinks. But it's just a shitty mood. But what I'm saying is this whole small town dictated the success of this song. So the deal went to shit. You know what I mean? Next album, we were like, no, we're good. And then when I put out Powerless 4 or 5 years later, Craig Colborne, who's like the head of Warner, called me out of the blue. Actually, was the secretary. Like, Craig wants to have a meeting with you on Monday about the song Powerless. It was a song about sexual abuse, child abuse.
Yeah.
Very serious song. Craig called me, and he was like, man, this song, I've never heard nothing like it. I want to shop it to my artists. Are you cool with that? I'm thinking, oh, fuck, Ed Sheeran's going to do this? Rihanna's going to, like, who's going to get this song? And he tried to give it to Super Duper Kyle. Remember him?
Yeah.
What's that song he had? I Spy.
I Spy with my little
Yeah. So he was like a new artist on Atlantic, and it didn't work out for them. So it eventually didn't work. But he doesn't even remember me being signed on Atlantic, and So it's such a big. It's a different beast in the States. Like when you hear these horror stories about record labels and shit, I never went through none of that in Canada. Like I'm still friends with my people at Sony, Universal, never bad. But in Atlantic, it's so business, which I get it. It's so big, but it's like they don't give a shit about the artist or the person. It's just like, this is the plan. Okay, it's over.
That's it.
Yeah.
Wow. Expendable.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Which is, yeah, it is. As long as you know what to expect, I guess, and go in there and go, okay, we're not friends. We might hang out and go for dinner and act all happy like we're happy with the success. But as soon as that goes away, these people do not give two shits. And,
And
it is what it is.
It's kind of good, right? Just keep your business.
I don't know.
I mean,
I'm a genuine person, so when someone's being genuine with me, I expect it to be not just because we're
Exactly.
being successful.
It's not necessarily I mean, for me, I guess it depends on the person. But like, I would actually like my label to care about me just a little bit. You know what I mean? Other people that my career, you have my career in your hands. I'd like you to care just a little bit. You know? But if you don't care at all, it's just like,
Yeah.
I know what you mean, though. Like,
Yeah.
now that I know now, I would go into those meetings different. I wouldn't put it out there. I wouldn't be talking about my kids. I wouldn't be doing all these things and trying to make it like a personal connection with these people.
Yeah.
Because that's what I did with all
Yeah.
these Canadian labels and still get that relationship. But now if I knew, it'd be like, no, it's business.
It's business, yeah.
Where's my money? No, we don't need to go for dinner. Why the fuck am I going to dinner with you? I don't know you. I don't need to know you. Just do what you got to do. I'll do what I got to do. And now that I know, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Makes sense. Are you satisfied with your career?
130%.
You're happy
I
with
never
it?
thought I would get here. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, like,
Do you feel like there's more that you need to do, or?
like we were saying before this started, I just think I could still get better. And I think that's what motivates me when I hear a beat or I hear something. I'm like, oh, I know I can write some shit. And I think it's probably still at the same time to turn some people these people who don't think I earned a spot on this top 5.
I think a rap beef
I'm
would be
still
good.
trying to. Yeah, I had a couple local rap beefs, but fucking rap beef's so corny.
you keep
Like, we
trying
talk
to push
about
this
corny shit,
this
like-
rap beef business.
No, I mean it helps,
Rap
right?
beef is the corniest shit ever.
But it doesn't really help, though.
I mean,
No.
okay, maybe artistically, it's like, okay, you know,
But it
you're
does.
up against someone who's lyrical, who is well respected. So, hypothetically, let's say, he had a rap beef with Joyner Lucas. People would tune in and be like, yo, okay.
Oh yeah, this guy from Canada did this Joyner. Joyner answered back.
Boom, next level right there. I mean, it happens.
I
does
know
happen.
it does, but it's just like,
It's just corny.
And when I say
Yeah.
rap beef,
Sorry,
I don't
it
mean
seems
rap
so
beef in
corny.
the sense of like, when I see you on the street at Walmart, it's
Yeah,
on
yeah.
site.
Yeah.
But like hip hop is competitive, right? And that's pretty much the foundation of it.
But like a lot of it is, you don't like me? Oh, I'm really offended now. I guess I should battle you, or it's just like, what the fuck? We're not. It just seems so. Like, and don't get me wrong, because on the come up, we used to have problems with other crews in Nova Scotia.
But now you're outgrown that.
But it's not even outgrown. If it was personal, then it's different. If it's Joe Blow that I don't know other than through music, and you're on, you know what I mean, Joyner Lucas, it's like,
so if it was a name, you're open to it. If it was a name and say hypothetically.
No. If it was someone I had a relationship with that went shitty and they started writing records about me and kind of calling out my credibility
gotta be,
of
like, real
something I did,
personal.
like, that's not what happened, man. You can't say that. Like, okay, now I got to
Yeah.
come back and defend myself because you know me personally and people know you know me personally. So this actually might hold some cred, but you're not talking anything real. So
I'm
now
trying
I
to
gotta
get
correct
Charmaine
you.
in a rap beef with
see,
someone.
no, I can't do no rap beef because I'm just gonna want to fight.
It's exciting. Well, that's what I mean. Like,
You know?
I get too personal about stuff. Certain things. Like, I know some of it is an art, but that's where it's kind of like super cheesy to me.
Yeah.
You mentioned you're from Enfield, right?
Yeah.
How far is that from Halifax? Like an hour?
Not even 25 minutes.
All right. So were you into the donaires out there?
Oh, yeah. Had one the other day.
Yeah.
It's best.
Have
I
you
get one every Sunday.
Have you tried the ones on
I tried them all.
the one on Danforth?
Oh, and up here?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I never tried that. What's it called?
They call it Halifax donaire.
Yeah, I've never had it, but I know people who have it, and they said it's not Halifax donaire.
It's not, right?
It's just the sauce. I think that's the biggest thing. Is they
It's
don't
sweet
know.
sauce.
Yeah, which is so easy to make.
Yeah.
It's 2 or 3 ingredients, but
You get it with a pizza, or you just get the
no,
wrap.
I usually get the donaire, but then I'll get like a garlic fingers. The kids are on it now too, so anytime I mention donaires tonight, kids are all excited. Wife's like, oh, fuck. But, yeah, no, it's it's good.
How we doing for time?
How many? We have about 3 minutes left. What's considered a tour for you, or what's considered a tour in general?
Like,
how many stops?
How many stops? A real tour, at least 20. But like we'll go out and do like 4 or 5 days. But to me, that's just like a little run. I wouldn't call that a tour. I guess a tour is when we're on the tour bus and we press merch up, and it's like, oh, we're out here for, you know, the last tour we did in October was 35 dates on the tour bus. Press up tons of boxes of merch. You're hiring the tour manager. But when it's just like me and the boys jump on a plane, let's fly to Toronto, do a show in Toronto. We'll do one in Ottawa, Montreal, in the minivan or whatever it is. That's just going out for like a week type thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't consider that a tour.
Understood.
What are your views on the Canadian musical landscape? Are you happy with what you see, or just any general thoughts on it? Or you even
Don't really care.
you don't care?
Don't even care.
That's a real.
Like,
that's a real
I guess I'm not watching. Like, I think it's great what the amount of artists in Toronto, especially, are coming up now and getting that respect in the rest of the world. I pay attention to that because I think that's super cool. I think there's tons of underground artists, so many more than ever, coming from BC, Midwest, out East, East Coast, tons of them, making dope music. But it's just so hard for them to stand out now. Like, that's the thing now is comes back to shows. Tours.
Yeah.
That's, to me, how you stand out.
Yeah. We were talking about who could be, I guess, like the beholders of hip hop, right? Because the guys,
like the new generation.
Like who comes after the Coles,
Kendricks
the
and
Kendricks, the Drakes, and we were talking about like who would be that person, and
we couldn't think of who it would be.
Still, no names came to mind. Tory, definitely, once he gets out, I think he's one, but
I know we were saying, like, I always like Anderson .Paak, but I don't know if you consider him just like an MC.
I don't think
and he's more old school too now, actually. Yeah, I don't know who, and I guess it's my own ignorance because I don't really follow the scene. Like, when I was coming up, I read every Source magazine, everything. Like, I was on it. There wasn't an artist I didn't know. Even if I didn't know their music, I knew who they were. Now, if I go on, like, a hip-hop DX and look at the hot tracks, I'm like, who? Oh, yeah. Who? Like, I might know 7 or 3 out of the 10.
Scarecrow with the skinnies.
Yeah, couldn't tell you.
The rap name's called like Scarecrow with the skinnies.
But, like,
Got
at
'em.
the same time, like, at our age, I don't think we're,
Yeah.
we got kids. Like, I'm in the car. I don't listen to my music in the car. I'm listening to the kids' music in the car. Like, my biggest thing coming up listening to hip-hop was hitchhiking. I'd hitchhike everywhere in my headphones, and that's how I fell in love with music. I don't hitchhike anymore. If I'm in the car, I'm with my kids. They're listening to their shit. I'm at home. I'm in the studio working on music. So, like, when I listen to music, it might be with the guys on the road. If we're on doing like a 5-day run or whatever. IV or someone's playing like some new shit to check out. What was that album IV was playing a couple weeks ago? He loves them. Nims, hired dude. Dude from New York,
Nims.
you know what I'm talking about?
Guy who sits on the block and insults people.
Yeah.
He's hilarious.
I love that kid.
Ivy loves his shit. It took me a second. I was like, Ivy, really? This is what we're listening to?
hilarious.
But yeah, his album's actually really dope.
Nims, we want you on the podcast.
Yeah, come over across the border.
Yeah.
But yeah, so many dope artists. It really is for me to pick a one or two that's like these two stand above, and I feel like the next generation.
Yeah. We're definitely rooting for a home team. The Toronto MCs.
Who would you guys say if you had to pick an MC that came out in the last 5 years that you think would be like the staple for the next 5?
If he was still alive, I think Smoke Dogg would have killed it.
Yeah.
Smoke Dogg would have been amazing if he was still alive.
I like what Toby's doing.
From here,
Yeah. Toby,
Toby's dope.
He's dope.
I'm just gonna go ahead and pick myself.
I'm looking on the female side. I feel like there needs to be more consistency on the female side in terms of
a lot of female MC out of Toronto, isn't there? Though, like if I go on like Six Buzz, it's like pick your favorite girl MC from Toronto. I don't know a lot of the names. A couple of the names I recognize, but
Taylor G, she's been fairly consistent. Avaya Mighty, she's doing her thing.
Avaya, definitely Avaya. What's her name? Chromez.
Chromas.
She's not really an MC.
She's just more of a personality.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just see her keep popping up stuff, and I don't know what she does. But someone said she had a video out, so I was like, oh, okay.
Well, that's my point when it comes to Chromos, because Chromos calls herself the first lady of Toronto, and I say, in terms of popularity, right? Not musical, but popularity.
So how did she get popular
she's the
anyway?
it girl. Yeah. Good question. Where did it
So
start from?
it wasn't from
I have
music?
speculations.
I
about
know.
music.
I think it was just social media and her being attractive and her kind of being a personality, which we spoke, like people are buying into
the
more
brand.
than just the music.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
If
It's
you
the whole
have a
package of
social
it all.
media presence, you could really take off. Yeah. So
Well, Lori,
Well, I'm bringing us out.
Yes, sir.
Okay, freestyle. I'm joking.
No, I saw what they did to you on CBC the other day. I was like, no.
Oh, did you see that? Did you see my face? I was like, live TV, and I'm like, what? Oh, I haven't done that shit. Like, nobody asked you to freestyle.
No, the guy was like,
It's
the guy was like,
it's the
come on
wackest
come
thing
on
in the
now,
world.
rap for us.
Yeah, it's like it was the 50th anniversary of hip hop. It was on like CTV. He's like, so will you spit a rap? I was like, fuck, man.
It's so whack, man. Oh my god. All right, that is it from Steady Mobbin podcast with my lovely host, Black Mob and Charmaine, and our amazing guest, the GOAT Classified. Do you have any shout outs, anything you want to plug? Any
Just
upcoming
thank
projects?
you guys for bringing me out here. Let me come on and do this thing. I have a new project coming out, a new song called Wonder, and people are out right now. I'm dropping a new song every 6 weeks, new one coming next week. And just going to do that till I get like 5-6 songs out and then drop the rest of the project.
Dope. And our doors are always open.
Appreciate it.
We got to do a tiny desk next time
Got
when you're in
Matthews.
town. And yeah, make it happen. That is it. I'm going to go watch Pornhub now.
There you go.
Oh my god.
I told this guy where I was from. He said, oh, Canada.
Pictures.
Kind of laughs it off. It was funny, huh?